It being 10 o'clock, I hereby, I'm going to open the executive sessions. If you would please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, I'm going to open the executive session on SB 15, and I'm going to recess shortly for about 10 minutes so both sides can caucus. We have two amendments to the two bills before us, and I'd like to give everybody a few minutes to go over them and discuss them. So we will be back in about 10 minutes. Okay, we're back with SB 15. As you can see, the amendments are out. I hope everyone has a chance to look at them. And I'm going to recognize myself to make a motion, and I'm moving amendment number, wait a minute, I got the wrong one. 2025-3096H Hotel. Second? I need.
No, is that the one you want?
Well, maybe that's the second one.
9 you want.
3096.
Yeah, 96.
Second.
Thank you. Yes. Why? Oh, he's a sub. Yeah, I need a permanent member. Thank you.
Second.
Gotcha. And with that, I will address it briefly. The amendment, we heard testimony from the Department of Corrections that basically everyone in there is doing some sort of job, and I was very pleased to hear that. It was very enlightening testimony we received. Everyone in there is being kept busy for the most part. Having said that, there's a difference, in my opinion, and the opinion of many, that hard labor can be differentiated from work that people are doing, be it sweeping up, cleaning, whatever he assigns. He has the ability to make certain jobs, the hardest jobs, for the people that are assigned hard labor. Also, we heard that the number of inmates that would have fallen under that was most of the people in the prison, and he would have needed enormous resources. So this narrows it to two groups: the people convicted of capital murder, and despite what we heard at the last hearing, capital murder is in fact still on the books. There's just no capital punishment. RSA 630:1 for aggravated felonious sexual assault on a child under age 13 as well will fall under this. Those two areas, those two classifications of convicted people will be the ones subject to this. And it defines what hard labor means, and it defines the commissioner's ability to not assign hard labor on any given day based on staffing or security. It gives the commissioner broad latitude to ensure that the public safety is put first and foremost. So if there's concerns we heard about the lack of safety of having dangerous people in the community not properly supervised, he has the ability to say today there will be no outside the wall work or whatever he decides. So this amendment gives broad latitude to the commissioner to both assign the punitive measures and to not do it at all based on several different criteria, including staffing. There's exemptions for medical reasons for people who just can't do hard labor, and alternative activities for them to do. So that basically covers the amendment, and we're open for discussion. Representative Scher. Is your mic on? We want to make sure we capture that for posterity.
I'm going to oppose this amendment for two primary reasons. One, I think the end result of what this creates for the Department of Corrections is the possibility, which doesn't exist now, that people charged with what's called capital murder or the AFSA on a child under the age of 13 might be working outside the walls of the prison. And I think as a public safety matter, that's not a good idea. Just as a flat rule, whatever the commissioner thinks or doesn't think. So I would oppose it for that reason. Also, if in fact there were people who fit the definition under this amendment were working outside the walls, it would require a lot more resources than are currently used for people who are working outside the walls. We heard from the testimony at the hearing that those who are now working outside the walls of the prison are on their way to release. In the last year or months of their sentence, they're a low classification. They're classified as a 1 or a 2, and they sometimes go out without any supervision, but at most one person. If you had people with these charges going outside the walls to work, as a matter of policy, I think it's a big mistake. I've had a conversation with my police chief in Portsmouth, and that as a principle is of some concern to him. So I will oppose this as a matter of cost and as a matter of policy. I don't want people charged with these crimes working outside the walls. I don't even want it to be at the discretion of the commissioner.
Thank you. I would say that I did speak with actually at least 4 police chiefs and part of my duty on the New Hampshire Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, and they were all in favor of hard labor for the serious offenses, and were confident in the abilities of the DOC to properly supervise criminals outside the wall to ensure that they were safe, as they have been doing currently. And I haven't heard of one person who is in there for a serious crime escaping and hurting someone. So I would give credit to the DOC for that. Representative Muse.
I will also be opposing this. I think one of the things that we don't have in this amendment or in any version of this particular version of the bill is anything resembling a fiscal note or a cost estimate. And while I recognize the fact that we're talking about a narrower list of crimes here and people who would be sentenced for those crimes, I think one of the things that we know from the Michael Briggs example is that one particular inmate can account for a great deal of expense. So a group of inmates like this, I think it raises all kinds of questions how the Department of Corrections is going to classify these people, how they are going to assign jobs, how they are going to keep other inmates and staff who are assigned to work around these people safe, how they're going to actually keep some of these people safe themselves. I think which is another issue up at the state prison. So, you know, the bottom line is I'm not sure that this has been really effectively thought through. I understand the desire for retribution as opposed to rehabilitation, and unfortunately, that's a direction I don't think we should be moving in as a state. I don't think that's how our Department of Corrections has been structured. I don't think that's their strike zone. And one of the things that we're, I think, you know, asking them to do with bills like this is to essentially go back on, you know, years of policy decisions that have actually produced pretty good outcomes for the state of New Hampshire in terms of recidivism. So, you know, the bottom line is this has potentially far-reaching implications. It's taking us in the wrong direction, and we have absolutely no idea how much it would cost. But I have a pretty good idea. It's probably more than a lot of us think it would. So that's why I'm opposing it.
Thank you. Further comments? Yes, sir.
When we as a society take a person's rights away with respect to their freedom to move about freely by imprisoning them, we do it usually for rehabilitation, where we help them to be reintegrated into society. But when somebody commits crimes so heinous that it is so outside societal norms, sometimes it's important for us to be punitive and to use the rule of law to make committing those crimes, make the punishment for that a deterrent. During my life, I've been in situations where I've had very important jobs, but I didn't see the immediate gratification for that. And then at the same time, I've had very menial tasks that I did see the purpose of that. So I am of the believer that hard labor can indeed be a deterrent, where someone is sent out to a rock pile and told, your job in this hot sun is to break up these rocks into tiny pebbles. And those tiny pebbles are not good for anything, but you're going to do it anyway. That punitive punishment will be a deterrent, and so I'm going to be in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Scher again.
And I appreciate Representative LaSalle's instinct on this. As a matter of actual evidence, there's really nothing that we have seen over the years that suggests increasing punishment, length of sentence even, has act practically speaking as a deterrent. I understand the instinct of, yeah, let's make the punishment harder so people will think twice about committing what crimes they're committing. The crimes we're talking about here are not crimes where I think anybody thinks about the punishment when they commit the crime as a practical matter. We want, as legislators, as policymakers, to believe that we can make a difference in terms of measuring the punishment as to whether someone will commit a crime or not. I just, in my research over the years, I just haven't seen any evidence that it actually has that effect. So while I appreciate the instinct, practically speaking, I don't think it's going to have any effect.
Thank you, Representative. With that, I'll close by saying that with regard to the concerns of cost, it will not cost the state nearly as much as it costs us for a death penalty appeal, which is in the millions of dollars. We already know that. And the limited specificity of the crimes with regard to being retribution, in our DOC not doing that. Our DOC does what we tell our DOC to do. We set policy, not the DOC. And the DOC, frankly, hasn't taken a position. So we're imposing one on them by saying it's not what they do. They do what we say they do. And for people who are raping children under 13 years old, I can't think of a punishment bad enough. So I think that hard labor is certainly what the people of this state want. We have seen a push for the reinstatement of the death penalty among a large segment of our society. And we need to recognize that the people of this state have had enough of the past 6 decades of more progressive use of our DOC and less retribution and deterrence. And with regard to it not being a deterrence, having served in the military, and where if you don't show up for work enough times, you get concerned about having to go do hard labor, it is a deterrent. It is a big deterrence. In the military, they use hard labor from minimal infractions where you don't go to jail, but you're still doing hard labor, all the way up to going to Leavenworth, where you do, in fact, break large rocks into small rocks. And people, I can tell you, discuss it regularly. I'm not going to do that because I could end up doing that. And the states that do have hard labor, there's studies that show that it is a deterrent. So that is certainly debatable. With that, I'd ask the clerk to call the vote. The motion is to accept the amendment.
Representative Linton,
Yes.
Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative LaSalle's,
Yes.
Representative DeVoid,
Yes.
Representative Bogart,
Yes.
Representative Popovich Mueller,
Yes.
Representative Saborn Deschenier,
Yes.
Representative Juris.
No.
Representative Muse,
No.
Representative Newman,
No.
Representative Vale.
No.
The clerk votes no. Representative Scher,
No.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
No.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
9-7.
By a vote of 9-7, the motion carries and the amendment is adopted. At this time, I recognize myself to make a motion of ought to pass with amendment,
Second.
seconded by Representative Prue. I don't think we need any further discussion. Nothing's changed in the last 10 seconds. I'd ask the clerk to call the roll. The motion is to adopt and pass the bill as amended.
Representative Lynn,
Yes.
Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative LaSalle's,
Yes.
Representative Devoyd,
Yes.
Representative Bogart,
Yes.
Representative Popovich-Mueller,
Yes.
Representative Saborn Duchenier,
Yes.
Representative Juris,
No.
Representative Muse,
No.
Representative Newman,
No.
Representative Vale.
No.
The clerk votes no. Representative Scheer,
No.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
No.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
9-7.
By a vote of 9-7, the motion carries, ought to pass as amended. If you could please get to me, what is today? Today is, by close of business tomorrow, your minority report, please. I'll be writing the majority. And we need to make sure those are in by tomorrow because we're up against the deadline for getting these onto the
Oh.
House calendar. Yes, sir.
I'll be writing them.
All right, thank you, Representative Scheer. And with that, I close the executive session. I open the executive session on HB 206, and I recognize myself to introduce an amendment. I introduce number 20253098H,
Second.
seconded by Representative Prue. I'll speak to the motion. As you recall, this bill wanted to make it that law enforcement or actually it's a government agent needed a search warrant to go onto premises that were posted or secured. We heard from municipalities and other people, power companies, et cetera, that could have the unintended consequences of interfering with them doing their normal ministerial government jobs that had nothing to do with law enforcement. After hearing that, I got an amendment. It narrows it down. Government agent means what I think the sponsor of the bill wanted it to mean. Law enforcement, state or local law enforcement agent, or any person working with or acting at the behest of law enforcement. The bill already exempts fish and game. If you read the bill, I only changed this definition, and I changed secured premises to make it clear, where it says in the original bill that it had to be posted or a fence. It didn't really define that, and I didn't want it to be so that it could go to court, and the court might say, well, the person says it was a fence because in 1752, a stone wall was erected around their property. That's not a fence. So I just defined it to say it's got to be an actual fence. And that's all. Those are the only changes. Discussion. Seeing none, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion is to adopt the amendment.
Representative Lynn,
Yes.
Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative LaSalle's,
Yes.
Representative Devoyd,
Yes.
Representative Bogart,
Yes.
Representative Popovich-Mueller,
Yes.
Representative Saborn Duchenier,
Yes.
Representative Juris,
Yes.
Representative Muse,
Yes.
Representative Newman,
Yes.
Representative Vale.
Yes.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Scheer,
Yes.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
Yes.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
16-0.
16-0, the motion carries and the amendment is adopted. At this time, I recognize myself to make a motion of ought to pass for HB 206 as amended,
Second.
seconded by Representative Prue. I'll just recap the bill now as amended. Makes it so that if your property is posted or you have a fence that's clearly up and it's a real fence, the law enforcement has to respect that the same as anybody else. If you have no trespassing on your it means no trespassing. It doesn't mean no trespassing except for law enforcement. We heard from law enforcement and they testified, I think to a person, that they already get search warrants, but at the same time they said they really didn't like this. I, as you all know, am a big supporter of law enforcement,
but I'm a big supporter of good law enforcement, and that means following the law and respecting the wishes and rights of our citizens. If you post your property no trespassing, you mean no trespassing. And it's not difficult to get a warrant. And there are a whole bunch of exceptions to this for things going on that need an immediate reaction. So I feel like this strikes a balance, and it protects the rights of our citizens and the ability of law enforcement to continue doing their jobs. I'd ask the clerk to call the roll, and the motions ought to pass as amended.
Representative Lynn,
Yes.
Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative LaSalle,
Yes.
Representative Devoyd,
Yes.
Representative Bogart,
Yes.
Representative Popovich Mueller,
Yes.
Representative Sabor and Deschenier,
Yes.
Representative Juris,
Yes.
Representative Muse,
Yes.
Representative Newman,
Yes.
Representative Vale.
Yes.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Shear,
Yes.
Representative Hill,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
Yes.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
16-0.
16-0 ought to pass. Any objection to consent? Seeing none, it'll go on consent, and I'll be taking care of the report. With that, we are in recess, and I will see you guys again in January.